Good evening everyone, welcome to Just Land Rovers again. We've got an Evoque in today. It's that Evoque there, the one that's in lots of bits. That car came in, the customer was complaining that the dashboard, whenever you put it into reverse, the dashboard would say parking camera fault or camera system fault. The interesting thing is that the car doesn't actually have any cameras whatsoever. So we plugged it into AutoLogic, looked at a few faults, and this is a little story about what we found and how we fixed it. So we're going from a warning on the dash, camera system fault, and you'll see what we found in the end. So, AutoLogic coming up. Here it is, AutoLogic. This is a whole list of the faults in the whole car. We're only interested in this one, so parking aid control module, or park distance control, or basically the module that controls everything from parking sensors to more parking sensors, front and rear, and sends that data to the screen, telling the screen how far away objects are and that kind of thing. So the faults we've got in there kind of doubled up. So front right outer sensor, circuit short to ground or open, and front right outer sensor internal failure. Front right inner sensor, circuit short to ground or open or internal failure. Same two for front left outer, same two for front left inner. So that's, on this car, that would be all 4 front parking sensors. Some Evoques have got, I'm going to turn you guys around again. Some Evoques have got 6 parking sensors on the front and 4 on the rear. If it had the 6 on the front, there would be one there on the wheel arch. Similarly on this side there'd be another one up there. Again, there isn't. There could also be a camera in that position, and there isn't. Interestingly, as we're about to find out, the wiring is there for them, but no camera. We'll just check around the back as well. I'll just show you what we're looking at here. So this bumper's still on. 1 parking sensor, 2 parking sensors, 3, 4. No camera there, no camera there. So those parking sensor faults, they're all identical. Is it likely that we have 4 parking sensors, each with an identical fault? I'd say that's pretty unlikely. So more likely, or at least possible, that we have a wiring fault instead. That's where we're going. That's the theory. We've got 4 parking sensors, all logging identical faults. 2 faults each, identical faults on each one. So we think there's a wiring fault. The parking sensor module, or rather the control module for the parking sensors, is right in the back of the car. It's almost exactly there, inside the car. From there you get wires going all the way down the front, through here. They come out here. So these 2 connectors go into the bumper loom. This connector contains the power and feed and all of the signal wires. So the power and earth and all the signal wires for the parking sensors. Also contains 4, I think. Contains some wires for if it had the extra sensors, the corner sensors and the corner cameras, which it doesn't have. So check the faults. The faults are there. After that, we go digging in the car. What do we find? We take out this wheel arch liner, or rather we undo the front of it and tie it back. That way we can access these connectors, disconnect them. After we disconnect them, then we can do some wiring checks. At the point of doing wiring checks, we couldn't actually find a fault. So from that point, you move on a bit further. We really do think there's a fault in the parking sensor wiring for the front of the car. As I say, what's the chances of there being 4 sensors with identical faults? Not high. It's particularly for a fault that comes along, as in, it's not like this fault got worse and worse and worse. It suddenly happened one day. It's not likely that all 4 parking sensors got the same fault in one occurrence. So we're going with a wiring fault anyway. We want there to be a wiring fault, but we can't find one. So we test the bumper loom while it's in the bumper and while the bumper's on the car, and we get exactly what we expect. We get power coming from the module. It comes down the wiring of the car across the connector. You get power in the bumper loom side. The earth on the bumper loom is good. Remember, we had circuit short to ground or open. So it's logging some kind of circuit open fault, as in there's not a complete circuit somewhere. So at that point, you took the bumper off. That bumper, took it off. Did wiring checks on the wiring loom while it was off the car, on the bumper wiring loom while it was off the car. Couldn't find a fault again. Everything was as expected. At that point, disconnected all the parking sensors from the loom and tested the loom itself. And all of the time, obviously, inspecting the loom, making sure there's no obvious chafed points where it's rubbed through. Couldn't find anything again. At that point, we took the loom off the car. And here it is on the bench. This is one connector where the connector fastened into the car. That's another connector where the connector fastens to the car. Those two fasten onto these two connectors. That's over there. So here we have what would be one corner parking sensor and one corner camera. Front left outer parking sensor, it would be. Front left inner, front right inner, front right outer, front right corner camera, and front right corner parking sensor and front right corner camera. All of that is in this one loom, and that all fits inside the bumper. Along the loom, you've got these almost like cable ties and clips, and these cable ties and clips, and all of the wires are wrapped up in insulation tape, and then these clip around the whole lot, and you use those to clip the whole loom to the bumper. With it off the car, all of a sudden, if we put power in at this end, for example, we didn't get power out at the other end, and we should be getting power around the whole thing. We have one power feed at this end, which should feed all 6 parking sensor connectors, and we weren't getting that. So we have one wire in. It's actually this purple one here. One wire in, which goes into this bundle. One power feed in suddenly becomes 6 power feeds. So 3 to go that way, 3 to go back this way. So I'm just going to show you our little multimeter here. We've got Autologic, we've also got this multimeter turned on. We've got this on continuity, and it'll beep if it detects continuity. So it's basically putting a very small voltage down this red wire, and if it detects anything at this black one, it'll beep. So if I join those together, there's beeping, and it's showing there's 0.2 ohms resistance, which is good. That's what we want. So I'm just going to connect this red end of the wire into the wiring loom, like that. So that now goes into the pin, the positive pin, or the pin that provided power to this whole loom. I'm going to throw you on the floor. Right, so we know this will beep if it detects any voltage. So I have stripped the wire very slightly there, that purple wire, and if I hold this together on the purple wire, beeping. So we've got continuity from the red wire, from our red multimeter wire, through the connector, through to this side of the purple wire. Let's follow that purple wire down a bit more. We get another bit that I've stripped off. Hold that together. Beeping, good continuity. Go down a bit further. Hold it together. Nothing, no beeping. So this is all in the name of proving that we've got a wiring fault in this loom. Some reason, some open circuit that we're not getting power, for example, to all of those sensors. It makes sense that it would be before it splits off and provides power to all the sensors, and we've got that. Between this splice and our power feed, our connector, something is causing high resistance or open circuit. We'll just go through it again. So go from this one. There we have continuity. There, no continuity. So, what do we find? Green staining on the wire, appreciate that isn't showing up very well for you guys, but there, this stuff, that is all where the it's actually where one of these clips, where it was holding the whole loom together, had rubbed through the insulation on that cable, on the power cable, allowing moisture in, and then the moisture oxidizes the copper. Copper oxide is green. That's what we're seeing there, and eventually it rots it away and we get an open circuit fault. So that stops the parking sensors working, which gives us a camera fault on the dash of this Evoque. How about that? That's a pretty good diagnostic process. That's fault codes, but what the fault codes mean, they don't really make sense. We could have replaced all 4 parking sensors. That's what the fault code said. Doesn't really make sense. So why have we got 4 parking sensor faults? Identical. There's got to be one reason why. Hopefully we'll find that one reason why. It's there in the bumper. That's a pretty good one. I like that one. It's a fairly simple one. That's one wiring loom, one kind of accessory loom if you like, in the bumper. If you imagine, actually funnily enough, the other Evoque over there in the corner, that one came in with 106 faults logged in it. I think we're going to find, I'm hoping we're going to find one similar wiring loom fault, but on that one it's not going to be a parking sensor fault. On that one, 106 faults, it's down to a fault, I think, at the minute, with the high-speed CAN. High-speed CAN system feeds, I think, at least 15 different modules, 15 different control modules on that year of Evoque. I'll count them up for you later, because I can't bother to do it now. It's Friday night, it's 17 minutes to 6. That's me done for the day, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks very much, bye-bye.